sweet home. And boy, oh boy, it's exactly as I left it. Welcome to the way I'm living these days. I think I might start this off by telling you about a dream I had last night. So, last night I had a dream when I was having a conversation with the world. I was looking him in the face. Having just escaped the dream reality of university education, the world guessed it thought it had to speak to me. So I looked her in the face and I said to her, "What on earth are you here to tell me?" And she said, "Well, I'm not here to tell you anything, I'm here to give you instructions, and you must follow them." And I said, "Okay, wonderful." And she offered me an organ grinder. She put it in front of me. And she said, "Go and give it a spin." So I did. And surely enough, spin, spin, spin. As you'd expect. She said, "Peter, I need you to put something in here if you want to wander through me anymore." And I looked back into the world's face and said, what kind of thing? And then she said, "I need you to put yourself in there." I looked at myself up and down and I thought, well, if I put myself in there, then there'll be nothing left of me to wander through the world. And the world laughed, pitifully, turned to me and said, "There's another option." And I said, "Oh, what is it? What is it?" And then the world said, well, your mind will sustain it. You can put your mind in this grinder." And I said, very interesting. So in my dream, I took my mind out, put it in the grinder, spun it round. Ooh, where am I? Who am I? There's some cartilage, bit of effort, but my body kept it going. My body didn't stop. It was hard. Don't get me wrong, but my body can move, and all it had to do was that. So my mind went through the grinder and slapped itself down onto the floor and got soaked into the soil forevermore. And my body stood there triumphant. And for 10 years I dreamed, and during those 10 years, my body followed my mind in pursuit. It began to melt and denature and absorb itself back into the earth. Because here's one wonderful thing, is that the decisions that your mind makes do not immediately reflect on the way that you appear in the world or the way that your body manifests itself. It takes about 10 years for that to happen. So once you make a decision, hey, you might still be looking young, fresh, cool. Give it a bit of time, and that decision will reflect on your visage. Now, once you put your mind in the grinder, you've got 10 years until that one monolithic decision which dictates the remainder of your life becomes you entirely, and your body becomes this phantasmic ghost. I woke up from this dream incredibly frightened and I thought to myself, oh my gosh, what do I put in this grinder that is not my mind? Do I put my arm in there? Do I donate blood? I don't know. And then it was with great shame and humiliation, humility, the path to greatness, that I decided that I'd put my children in there instead. Now let's go back into reality. I've been producing art for these last 3 years dedicatedly, non-stop. It's been all I've been doing other than having fun. In swaths. And these artworks I've been keeping very much to myself, not been sharing it with very many, and those select few that are in possession of some of my artworks, congratulations to you, I must love you dearly. But now has come a time where the grinder is calling. And these pieces are as good as firewood to me now. The souls that were once my children dancing around me have been destroyed by the demand of the grinder. So, here I am today, offering these works for sale to you friendly fellows for quite a reasonable price of blood. Now, before we delve into the originals, I would like to show you something. Storage cabinet. Capture and release. Now this is a newspaper from my world. It's got a great number of wonderful contributors, each of whom I love dearly. Let me just double check that. Each of whom I love dearly, yep, for sure. And it's got a wonderful array of artworks, poetry, somewhat prosaic poetry, stills from short films by some dear friends, a crossword which is nigh on impossible to solve, and a little comic strip at the end. Oh, no looking! I believe there are 10 copies of this on the market right now. There are 10 copies, and the link will be in the description below for you to smash that up on Etsy.com on the Bricked Forever store. Now, let's get down to beeswax. Full of beans. Now these pieces come in a small variety of price tiers, and I would like to say now that these price tiers are suggested donations. Suggested minimum donations at least. If you want to go above those to help a brother out, not that there's much I'd really do to improve this situation here. I think it's quite gorgeous, a very nice reflection of myself, I suppose. I'm sure Carl Jung would be envious of the psychic space I've developed for myself here. But the minimum donation suggested, I will call them out. We've got a variety of tiers, and I'm going to work through these one at a time, give you a showcase, maybe chat about some of them. I want to keep it nice and brief for you guys. I don't want to be wasting your time as much as I'm wasting my own. Okay, so let's get started. So, to begin, we have Senile Adam. These pieces, these small pieces, starting from Senile Adam, are all in the 10 bone range, 10 pounds. That's what I'm talking about. So when it comes to ordering these bad boys, starting from Senile Adam, I'll leave an email in the description below, and just hit me up and let me know what you're interested in, and we can sort it out. Free shipping within the UK for these little boys. As they get bigger, we'll have a bit more of a problem with that, but I made a nice little deal with Royal Mail. I can get some pretty cheap shipping, and when it comes to international shipping, likewise, very cheap. For these small boys, I'd probably say maybe £2 international shipping, maybe £1 international shipping. No, I think I might settle on £1 international shipping. And as they get bigger, it will have to be something that's worked out around the time, because some of them are very awkward sizes, got to get a big tube for those boys. But it will not be anything extraordinary, because shipping just simply doesn't cost that much. Okay, so let's start with the 10 bone range, shall we? We have Senile Adam, Face Melted, Senile Eve. The story for these two pieces: the place that I was shacked up in for much of last year, next door we had a couple of oldies sitting down watching TV all day, and sometimes they'd have these shouting, screaming arguments that made no sense, and while I was going to sleep I was listening to these senile minds batter cruelty at each other, and it was in this state of semi-blissful sleep, semi-alert scaredness, that I managed to conceive of these two wonderful fellows, Senile Adam and Senile Eve, right next door. I wonder if they're still there, battering it today. Up next, we've got Spat on Mind. This is an illustration to a very long unpublished poem, which might see the light of day in a long time. This is called Communion. This is an illustration which was included in Bricked, PDF for which will be made available. Unfortunately, Bricked is sold out. I don't think I even have a copy. Here we have a bed sweater. Here's an illustration of me trying to get to sleep in Portsmouth, thinking about something. This is on a postcard, so you can send this to your besties. This is called Tape Dream, and it's a lovely dream about cassette tapes, or perhaps tapeworms, but I think it was actually cassette tapes. Tapeworms would be a bit more mysterious, you understand? Here we've got Streetwalker, an illustration of a streetwalker, classic. Here we've got Window Widow, apparently. 10 bones, again, for all of these bad boys, collected over the period of the last 3 years, only the best. I've got about 5 times as many pieces in the fire pile. This piece here, called Glowing Coals. This has a partner piece, actually. It breaks my heart to be showing it to you guys and to just separate it eternally, but I do feel it's the only way. Here we have bird birth. The story behind this one is that I used to have a great fixation on birds, and like particularly turkey birds, those sweet little fellows. But then that part of me deceased, and I was born from that character. And what was left in the bird other than cruelty once I left it? Interesting. Once again, bird birth is a postcard. Send it to your besties. Here we have sheep skull. Very simple array of lines, shapes, beams, etc., etc. I'm quite fond of this one. Another postcard. Now we're moving on to a different medium, same price range. A lot of these have been on this nice little flippy flip card and this little canvas postcard. But now we're looking at, I believe it's cloth, Lamali Paris cloth woven cotton paper, which is very lovely stuff. It looks very beautiful. Up first we've got, what is this? Tree Mind. We've got a very anxious individual with a sinister intent hidden behind their vulnerability. Up next, we've got a bad boy called Speak. I do love this piece. It's one of my favourites. I think it looks nice. And then we have orbitals. Each of these is in the 10 bone range, but it's not over yet. The 10 bone range isn't over yet. The 10 bone range has only just begun. I actually lied to you guys just then. It's actually over. Now we're entering the 20 bone range. There's someone playing golf over there in my back garden. Hey, get out of it! Hey, get the fuck out of here! Okay, so here we have Body Prison. So we have the I was enjoying toying with perspective with this one. So we've got the body cage down here, which emerges out like a whoosh into this character, and then all the way back, the epistemic distance precedes it, the flower of, I don't know, some sort of consummatory god. But lots of nature, lots of trees, oil paint on this lovely little flippy flop card. Very beautiful. Chopped with care and precision. Up next we've got another classic all-time favourite of my own, City Self. There's lots of mediums on here. We got, I believe we've got oil, pen, and glass paint. Very lovely. Poor dude, eh? Where's his identity gone? Somewhere in the city, I imagine. Moving forward, we have neck breaks. This is a lovely piece. Some of the best pieces come out by accident, which makes me furious at the number of hours I spend on the ones that are intentional. This is a lovely fellow. In some amount of pain, possibly. But living life, as we all are. Neck breaks. In the 20 bone range. And then we have a burnt face. I think this is quite lovely. This was, I painted this during a real baptism by fire that lasted a very long time. And I think it's quite beautiful. It's a poor gentleman. He's poured water over his face, so he's doing quite fine, I believe. I think he may be a nice addition to your life. Lastly, but surely not leastly, of this handful, we've got Caught In. So we've got some dude caught in his own head, looking out through one eye and then looking up into his head. God blimey, introspection really is a cancer. Right, let's see what's next for you fellows. Okay, so all of those free shipping within the UK, one-bound shipping outside of the UK, very simple, eh? Very lovely. And now we're entering, well, I don't know about this one. I think I'm going to, oh yeah, still in the 20 bone range, but we're looking at A4 now. A4 envelopes, I'm sure they're no trouble, but free shipping within the UK, £1 shipping internationally, sure thing. What's the issue? None. I believe this one's called Lean. And I'm not talking about the beverage rappers are drinking these days, I'm talking about the action of leaning forwards. Lovely guy, lots of geometricity, very simple, very muted colours. It's very unlike me. Moving onwards. Still within the 20 bone range. We've got Secret Keeper. Now this one's got a hell of a lot of detail up close, which doesn't really reflect in the distant mirages of itself. But this is about someone speaking evil on the path to truth and deceiving. Very lovely. And here we have defaced nature. And there is a face in here. If you can see the face, then the expression speaks for itself. Here it is, baby. Defaced nature, some lovely natural images up front. And here, I believe this may or may not be the final piece in the 20 bone range. Shipping might get complicated for this one, so I do pre-warn you, please do get in touch. I don't think it'll be much more than £3 or £1. I think it might even go up to £2 to £3, but it's a lovely poem written on this piece of plastic, this piece of polystyrene. And we've got this piece of plastic around here, around the edge there. It's from within a laptop screen. A laptop had to die for this, brutally. And I'll read the poem out to you guys for a nice little reprieve from the capitalist stuff. There is a light soaked in blood. It beats the burden of an angel broke into each action and every word I spoke. History is outwritten and sometimes outmarked by the living. Ain't that the truth? You know what I'm saying? Final piece in the 20 bone range, as far as I'm aware. Unless I stand corrected. Oh yeah, baby. Okay. Now we're entering exciting territory. Oh, don't look, you cheeky bugger. Okie dokie. Here's my most recent piece. It's called Wake. Lovely. He's waking up from a coffin with a parasite on his head and teeth all over the place and a nice grey and red curtain hung over one eye. Oh man. Lovely geometricity. It's a nice big on canvas board. Lovely, 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 lovely jubbly. Very beautiful. And this is £40. Now the shipping does get quite complicated for these ones. So please do get in touch if you'd be interested in these pieces, if you're particularly smitten by them. And I'm sure I can strike you a very fresh deal, but I'm going to have to see, like, you know, this is not a very friendly size. It's not a very friendly shape for postage. So I'm going to have to see what I can do, but this is called Wake in the 40 bone range. Shipping won't be tremendously expensive, but please do get in touch if you're interested. I would love to hear from you. If only for a chat. A few more voices in this empty house would be appreciated. Up next in the 40 bone range we got I Am a Mother. This illustration concluded a collection of poetry which will never see the light of day, unfortunately, but the first part of that collection has been converted into capture and release, and there are a couple of poems of mine in here that are prominent in that collection. So if you get a copy of Capture and Release and you have a look at this image, which you can also see on my Instagram or purchase if you'd really like to get up close to the paint, you can wonder how the hell it leads up to this. I mean, I don't know. Christ knows. Christ knows. But here we are. I Am a Mother, 40 bones. Now this one's framed, so it gets a bit complicated for a moment. So this is £40 sans frame. This piece here is called The Father. Yes, The Father. Oh, here's all of his ideas and everything that he thinks is right, channeling itself through this empty body devoid of life, feeling and emotion. Is this not the fate of mankind? £40 sans frame, but the frame is very beautiful, and I'm sure, as you can see, makes it look very polite. A Vec frame, it's 50. So if you want it with the frame, that's going to be an extra 10 bones. But what can I say? It's beautiful. It's wonderful in the frame. Shipping, once again, shipping might actually be easier with the frame, because the frame will add some support, wrap it up in bubble wrap, etc, etc, but 50 bones for this. Please get in touch if you're interested. See if I can hook you up. I'm the type of person that's interested in that. Now we're going back in time. You guys are looking at this thinking, oh, this is a lovely virtual art tour, but I could not possibly afford those. Now we're going back in time for those people who have already reached their limit. This one is 25. It's called I Can't, straight up, and I'm not talking about, I can't do it. No, it's just called I Can't. And it's a lovely illustration. It's a series of very meaningful pictures, actually, and they were all drawn in very, very, very meaningful times in my life. The frame, each and every piece of it is very meaningful to me. And we have a nice collage here of a bird wrapped around this lovely woman's face. And I can read the words surrounding. How can I manifest what I see in the world around me into something that can truly be mine? I can't. Simply true. But you can try, and I recommend you all do. Now, okay, so now we're entering the real fun digital art exhibition zone, because I believe we're going up to 50 bones. 50 bones for these, I believe. Shipping these is actually not as complicated as the canvas board, because I can get a nice tube for them. But I can't guarantee a price for you, so please do get in touch if you're interested in these pieces, and I'll be sure to get them out to you. It's 50 quid for one of these. I would like for them to go away from me. So let's get started, shall we? Right, it's 101. Okay, so let's begin, shall we? This is one of the elder pieces. This is called The Kiss. Lovely. Look at this. Inspired by the song by Judy Sill. Very beautiful. Very, you know, the black is very black. The black is pitch black, I would say, almost. And a lovely piece of Winsor & Newton card. Cropped for your pleasure. Now, here's a secret with this one. It's 50, straight up for the bad boy itself. But it does come with a beautiful frame. And the frame is also glass tempered, unlike the father. So if you'd like it a VEC frame, and the frame is very beautiful, but I couldn't bring it, what am I saying? I've got it in the back room. I couldn't put it on there because it wanted to have some breathing space. So if you'd like to see the frame, let me know. If you'd like it with the frame, it's 60 bones. Very lovely piece. Very romantic. They're eating spaghetti, except the spaghetti is their soul. Woohoo! Oh, what fun we have. This is called a Union. This is all oil paint on a lovely piece of card. I've been working on this piece all year, this year. It took me a very long time to finish this, and I feel very emotional about it, which is why it must go away from me. But here we are, Union. It's an illustrative piece. It illustrates an idea, and illustrative pieces are my favourite, I believe, because it's like reading a description of something, except words quite aren't enough. So this is Union for 50 bones. Very lovely. Please do get in touch. Up next in the 50 bone range, we have this battlefield of paint here. Which way up does it go? It goes up many ways. Here we are. Oh, here we go. This has been called so many different things because it is so many different things. I'm just going to call it Molten Head. How about that? Can you see the molten head? Initially it was painted to be this way, but then I had a bit of a breakdown and changed it to be this way round. But we've got every medium possible, And a lot of very thick paint on there, like the thickest piece I may have ever produced actually. So if you'd like a battlefield of paint in your arsenal for 50 bones, please hit my line down below. Up next we've got a lovely piece here. It's called Incisor. I have to think. Which is a dangerous thing to do these days. This piece makes me dizzy and sick. Many people are suffering exponential suffering in this image. Maybe about 6 people here in one head. Very confusing. A lot going on. 50 bones for this. Sans frame. There's no frame for this, but wouldn't it look lovely if it had one? It's charcoal and dark ass paint. There's a nice lovely card. And lastly and leastly, because it is a self-portrait, is this self-portrait. Not leastly, no, I shouldn't. I mean, self-deprecation is so 2017, but here we are. I believe this is the best thing I've ever done. This is me speaking. This is me speaking as me. Although I've spoken to a lot of people recently, a lot of very esteemed people who have told me that I'm wrong, and that there's something else that I've done that's better. And I just nod my head and say, yeah, you're probably right. But here we are, a lovely self-portrait, lots going on here, lots of fun. And a nice audience of people down here laughing. Humiliation is great. Humility is the key to greatness. And I believe that marks a triumph. It does. Wow, amazing. So, that's le grand triomphe of my life. Thank you very much for joining me here. It's great to have some company down here in the homestead. I think to finish the video I should do something interesting. Something so that you remember. And before I do that, I'd like to tell you something that I want you to remember. Is that these pieces have been put up for provisional prices. We've got the 10 bone minimum, 20 bone minimum, 40 bone minimum, 25 bone minimum as well, just to mix it up a little bit, and the 50 bone minimum. But if you really do love a piece and you can't afford it for that, please just do get in contact, let me know, and I'm sure we can sort something out. I'm always willing to have conversations with people. Another character in this lovely house would make it a lot more interesting. With me, it's just a house with me in it, for Christ's sakes. All I can hear is the what, 0 point recurring 0.1 millisecond echo of my own voice back in my ears. And Jesus Christ, do I get bored of that guy. Me. Anyway, that marks the conclusion of this video. I think I might finish by doing something very interesting. Or will I? I won't. Au revoir. And good night.